So, the World Championship Swiss stage has finished. Obviously, my predictions from the other day have clearly not worked out too well. Genji, I don't want to talk about. Genji are not even top 8. They're not even. They didn't even finish doing things. They finished 1-3 in Swiss, and OCE clearly have proven time and time again that they're just that little bit better than I think, especially in this time, their second seed as well, which came to a giant surprise considering how the second OCE seed has done in the past year or so. But, you know, fair play to OCE, thoroughly impressed I am. Anyways, we gotta go to playoffs, but before we go to playoffs, we have to play tiebreakers between the teams that went 3-1 to decide which team of the 3-1 teams will actually go to the lower bracket. By the way, if you weren't aware, maybe you want to see the Swiss table here. You can see all the wrong predictions I had. Anyways, let's go to playoffs. And okay, Karmine's actually really impressed me. Karmine has actually lost against Furia in this tournament already. But that isn't necessarily the most important thing. That kind of stuff does happen a lot, where two great teams play each other, one wins, and in the rematch, it's literally the opposite result. This does happen all the time. I think Karmine are looking good. I think with crowd as well, they're just gonna get better. I've just got that feeling. Furia as well. Honestly, I do think this could honestly go either way. But I'm going to say Furia takes that one just by a very slim margin. It'll be a 3-1 or 3-2 in my eyes. I like it can be a 3-0, don't get me wrong, but Furia, they could really step up. That really hard one to predict. And for me, BDS, they've only lost against Falcons. It's, you know, BDS have great results thus far. I'd honestly say, you know, so far they look like top 3. So far BDS have looked to me like a top 3 team this event, so I have to predict them again. I'm sorry for you. I'm really sorry. I'm gonna have to do this to you. This might be a little bit of EU bias. It honestly might be, but I don't know. Karmine Corp for me, I think that's the more not sus, but like the more hot take here, because I honestly think BDS is clearly the best team out of these 3. Though I guess, of course, on LAN with crowd, they have struggled this season in the past, so that could be taken into account as well. So if that's the reason why you think Furia would win against BDS here, but lose here for some reason, then yeah, that would make perfect sense as well. Alright, upper quarterfinal. I think, yeah, I'll do this one first. Yeah, G2 versus Team BDS. Like I said, I actually think BDS is top 3 team, and I actually think that they've been better than G2. G2, they actually played really good in the 3rd round, but for me still, it wasn't that impressive. I think G2, they've not been that great consistently this event. Let's look again in the Swiss. G2 3-0. Who did they win against in the 3rd round? It doesn't show here the actual result in the 3rd round. Let me head over to Wikipedia just really quickly here. G2, they won against Genomates. And Genomates ended up going 3-2. Okay, I wanted to be sure about that. So, at the end of the day, G2's results aren't actually that good. Still, definitely one of the best teams at this tournament, but for me, I'm gonna say BDS wins that one. Then, in the upper quarterfinal, Team Falcons versus Karmine Corp. Now, this is the moment when a pressure piles up of Worlds. The only thing that makes me think Falcons might win this is that this is still in the upper bracket. But the same thing happened with Vitality, where they were in the upper bracket of a double elimination major, and they ended up losing in the upper bracket against BDS, and came back in the lower bracket to see that, you know, crazy run where they were just clearly the better team by the end of that tournament. So yeah, based on that logic, even though I think Falcons is a better team, I'm gonna say Karmine Corp wins in the upper bracket out of from not even making a major, from not even making a top 16 in Europe in one of the events, to now winning in the upper bracket, guaranteed top 4 at the World Championship. Alright, lower round 1, Furia versus Space Station. Honestly, initially I wanted to go Space Station here, because I've thought about this matchup before, but no, I've got to be honest, Furia have just looked better. Space Station, it's really tough. It's really tough to say because their big win in this tournament so far has been against Vitality. You know, look at these results. OG 3-0, which that's a good result, sure, but yeah, other than the Vitality win, nothing too crazy, and Vitality are in top 8, so it's hard to really justify having the opinion that Space Station will beat these teams. Also, Space Station got swept by Furia, so that's also another indicator. And being swept, I think usually as well, is a bigger deal than, you know, a really close series, and I'm sure the games are close. And we'll look at the individual games. I'm sure there are a few close games, but let's see here. Yeah, 1-0, 2-1, 6-3. So generally pretty close, and the third game got a little bit out of hand. But yeah, other than that one I can't see going the other way. This time around, I mean, it's not like it's not possible. It's just I feel like Furia are just clearly the better team, whereas Karmine Corp and Furia, they're very close. But yeah, that still could go the other way. I just think Furia have just, you know, an extra bit more. They just look like a bit better to me. Dynamite Alpine, Oxygen. This is also a really tough one because the Oxygen Vitality series in round 5 was honestly a grand final worthy series in terms of entertainment, hype moments, goal line saves. Generally speaking, the quality of gameplay was actually pretty good. Dynamite Alpine, they qualified in 3-2 as well. You know, losing against G2, that's fine. Losing against BDS, that's fine. Like, the losses are fine. They win against Vitality as well. Just like Oxygen did. So their results are practically identical. Practically identical results going into this moment. I think, and this is honestly, this is probably a bit of bias from yesterday. After yesterday, I enjoyed watching Oxygen so much. I just want to see them winning here. In my head, this is like a 50-50 matchup. I think Genamate's probably like 55, and then Oxygen are like 45. If you had to weigh the odds there, I think there's 55% chance that Genamate's LP to win here, but I just want to continue seeing Oxygen, and I think they played so good yesterday, and them winning against Genamates would be, honestly, at this point, no surprise, based on how Oxygen played yesterday. So honestly, yeah, I was thoroughly impressed, and I think they could easily carry it over to today. Lower quarter final, G2 Stride versus Furia Esports. Yeah, I do see G2 winning that one. G2, they won the London Major. They've been warming up into this event. I still don't think they're quite going to beat BDS. BDS won EWC, so you can kind of understand that point of view as well. But yeah, I think they are better than Furia. G2, they're a top 4 team for me. You know, in my previous predictions, I had Gen G here, sat around this stage, and I predicted Gen G would win against G2. Because I think Gen G has a good matchup against against G2, sorry. But I actually do think G2, regardless of that prediction, or I already believe that G2 were a top 4 team in the world, it's just that matchup I had is why I initially had G2 outside of the top 4. But yeah, for me, definitely top 4. And as you might not be surprised as well, Team Falcons, I think they're the best team in terms of just like scale, not necessarily handling the nerves, but yeah, scale undoubtedly. I think most people would agree. Falcons are the best team in the world. All right, then the semi-finals. Now these matches are huge. Both of these matches are practically 50-50s. On one hand, we've got a rematch of the EWC Grand Final. On the other hand, we've got Karmine Corp versus G2. Karmine Corp, the flawless team in the first split until the major. G2, the London champions. London major champions. But yeah, I've been voting for a lot of Karmine so far, and it's for a good reason. I just honestly think they're that good. I think this might honestly go Game 7. Like, these teams are so close, but Karmine Corp, for me, I feel like they've been writing a story here. G2, they just won the most recent major, which, you know, they have that sense of, we won the last event, the last RLCS event, so maybe we should win this one, but it wasn't close enough to this event to the point where it feels like a curse. to the point where it doesn't feel like a curse and rather momentum. So I think for in the case of BDS, they have momentum going into this event because of how close EWC was. But G2, I think because they also didn't even play with their main roster in EWC, they still feel like they're the reigning champs right now, and that's over 3 months ago, I think. How much time was that? Let's check it right now. So right now we're in September. Yeah, just under 3 months ago for G2, and I think they'll play into the series. I think it honestly cursed them. So yeah, G2 looked inconsistent thus far. They might rise. They might raise in their skill level, which I think they actually will, but I don't think it'll be high enough to beat Karmine Corp in the semi-final. Yeah, I don't quite think they'll do it. Any other semi-final, I've got Team Falcons. I believe they have looked like the best team. And yeah, I just think they'll be able to handle the nerves. I think they'll lose in the upper final, or the upper quarterfinal as they call it. But you know, it's a bit of a semi-final as well. And then yeah, I think they kind of just regain from it. We've seen this time and time again from teams, and I think Falcons will be here to do it as well. I think they struggle, but I think they'll be able to regain, unlike in the past. Basically, this is the moment to do it. They've lost in so many grand finals, they've faced so many hurdles. I think this is finally the moment that they overcome it all, even in the grand final, to become the champions of the world in season 2024. So yeah, there you go. Those are my predictions, guys. I've been waffling for a long time, so I'll end the recording there. Let me know your thoughts. Obviously, my initial predictions clearly were not that great, but I am still sticking to my guns in terms of who's winning this thing. Even if my grand finalists aren't the same, even though, you know, this top 8 clearly is missing some teams that I had in there. I'm looking at Gen G mainly. I think it's the only one I had wrong. So, yeah. Anyways, I'll see you guys later.